No, it's like I'm trying to think the best way to describe it. It's like capitalism through lawsuits. It's just another business for that Donald Trump is quite familiar with. What's up? This is Mark K. Saves the Republic. Thanks so much for being here today. All right, fun fact. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I always am 100% honest with you. So really, I'm 100% honest with you 100% of the time. But I will tell you this. I watched probably about 20 minutes of the Grammys live because it was my wife's birthday. And she said, I want to watch 20 minutes of the Grammys. And what am I going to do? Say, no, not on your birthday. So we started watching, and I did see I saw the first Trevor Noah joke about Nicki Minaj and Donald Trump and their butts, which I knew that Nicki Minaj was going to be the butt, so to speak, thank you, of a joke because of her recent allegiance with President Donald Trump and the administration and her gold card and everything else that she's been doing to bring all kinds of real attention to the amazing things that President Donald Trump has been doing. She's involved in the Trump accounts, for example. And so that I knew she was going to be, I knew that they were going to rip into her at the Music Industry Awards because that's what they do. I mean, this is a group of people that gave Bad Bunny the Grammy of the Year award. What, not Grammy of the Year? What do they call it? Artist of the Year 365 days ago. This guy was something, I don't know. So Bad Bunny won a Grammy, and then he's going to go and perform at the Super Bowl this weekend. And Nicki Minaj wasn't even there. Why? Because she supports the current administration, and that's enough for them to kick her out. But Trevor Noah, he started with a butt joke.
Nicki Minaj is not here. She is not here. She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. Actually, Nikki, I have the biggest ass. I have it. Everybody's saying it, Nikki. I know they say it's you, but it's me. Wop, wop, wop. Look at it. Look at it, baby. Jennifer.
Yeah. And so that was his big joke about Nicki Minaj and President Donald Trump. And then, so what happened was there was a second joke. Oh, let me get to that first. There was a second joke later on in the evening. Now, this was well after I'd stopped watching. I'd turned it off. I don't know. I was watching something on HBO Max or something or other. Maybe I was in bed. Who knows? But there was a second joke that I didn't know about until later when I woke up this morning and read that Donald Trump was suing Trevor Noah. And I thought to myself, ooh, this just got good. Maybe I should have watched the Grammys. And that's the problem. Now, every time there's some kind of liberal left-wing lunacy on television, now whenever there's something that I know is going to be woke, like the Academy Awards, I think that's the next big one, or the Super Bowl or anything. Now I want to watch it because I want to see what happens. I want to see how President Donald Trump reacts. And Trevor Noah made a joke about Epstein Island.
That is a Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland. Which makes sense. I mean, because Epstein's Island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. So, I told you it's my last year. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. And so Donald Trump then went on True Social and he wrote this: the Grammy Awards are the worst, virtually unwatchable. CBS is lucky not to have this garbage litter their airwaves any longer. The host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel at the low ratings Academy Awards. Noah said incorrectly about me that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton spent time on Epstein Island. Wrong. All caps, by the way, for the wrong, if you're listening to the podcast. I can't speak for Bill, but I have never been to Epstein Island, nor anywhere close. And until tonight's false and defamatory statement, have never been accused of being there, not even by the fake news media. Noah, a total loser. It's Donald, you know what it is? It's Donald Trump's little editorial comments that he pops in like mid-sentence. Noah, comma, a total loser, comma, better get his facts straight and get them straight fast. It looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty with a little dollar sign. Ask little George Slopadopoulos. Sorry, I call it. I used to call him Snuffleupagus, right? I'd be like, "Oh, it's George Snuffleupagus," but Slopadopoulos is such a much better name. Sorry, I apologize. I don't know what got into me. Pardon me. Pardon me. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Ask little George Slopadopoulos and others how that all worked out. Also ask CBS. Get ready, Noah. I'm going to have some fun with you, President DJT. This is just, I mean, so Donald Trump has for years used used his lawyers and used the legal system to benefit himself financially and also teach people lessons. Because, look, here's the deal. You can't just let people get away with this stuff, so you have to take him to court. Also, Donald Trump knows that if he goes to court, there's a 50-50 chance that he could win. There's a 50-50 chance he could lose. There's a 50-50 chance he could get it all thrown out. Or more realistically, there's probably like a 75-80% chance that they're just going to settle this. That's what happened with CBS. CBS settled with Donald Trump when he sued them because they edited the Kamala Harris interview deceptively. Kamala Harris was being interviewed. They were like, "Oh, you should be the next president of the United States." And they asked her a question. And she went, what? And it was a dumb answer. So they took that dumb answer away. They found a less dumb answer and edited onto the other question. And then they aired the original clip on their own network, thus exposing themselves as being horrible people. Donald Trump sued and he walked away with a big fat settlement. Same thing with George Slopadopoulos and ABC. George Slopadopoulos accused Donald Trump of being convicted of horrible sexual behavior. And he wasn't convicted at all. It was a civil suit. And so George Slopadopoulos and ABC News had to pay out another $16 million. Donald Trump knows this. Donald Trump understands that there is gold in them thar hills. And when somebody treats you this way, when somebody says something like this about you, you have no choice or recourse but to attack them in court, because odds are they're going to settle and you're going to walk away with money. That's what, I mean, it's all economics. Donald Trump, first of all, Donald Trump wasn't watching the Grammys. Here's how I imagine this went down. Here's how I'm thinking it went down. Donald Trump was at a wedding yesterday. It was Dan Scavino and Aaron Elmore getting married at Mar-a-Lago. He was at a wedding. He was in his tuxedo. It was a great time had by all. And sometime during the wedding, the Grammys is airing. Somebody somewhere is watching it, and probably one of his law firms has either like a Google alert set up or some kind of AI alert, or they just have somebody that they pay to watch these things. Watching TV, by the way, is a job. There are several places out there, maybe not so much anymore because everything's mostly streaming, but there are places out there. There was the Parents Television Advocacy Group or something. There was some parents group, and their whole job, they would hire people to watch TV and make note of all of the inappropriate things that were going on in television shows so that they could publish it on their website, and they could go and they could complain to Congress and whatever. So they would literally pay people to watch TV and make notes of anything offensive. And I imagine Donald Trump's law firm has something very similar. They just are combing the media, waiting for somebody to say something that is suable. And then boom, they jump into action. So President Donald Trump's probably at the wedding, and he gets this text. And he goes, "Oh, Trevor Noah just said I was on Epstein Island. Oh, my lawyers are going to have a field day with this one. Hang on, guys." And he goes over and he fires off a little Truth Social post, and bam. And now all of a sudden, the wheels are set in motion. They're probably already talking about some kind of settlement, and Donald Trump knows he's going to walk away with another $15 or $20 million. Mostly, I imagine this will go to the Donald Trump Memorial Library, just like the rest of them. But you never know. You never know. Maybe he'll just pocket this one. Maybe he'll just buy some more Trump coin. Maybe he'll buy out a bunch of theaters so that everybody could go watch Melania. Maybe they could do that. I'm not really sure. Anyway, we'll see what's happening. We'll see what's happening with that here in just a minute, and we'll see. And we, of course, will follow this to its fruition. Now, as far as the rest of the Grammys go, there were a lot of other. I guess you would say protests or comments. There were some protests or comments about Minneapolis, Minnesota, and ICE. There were some other comments about, the deportations and whatnot. Everybody seemed to have their say. Billie Eilish said a couple things. There was one part though with Jelly Roll, which I think it's kind of going viral. Jelly Roll, who, he's a lovely guy apparently. But Jelly Roll, he did this thing where here it is. Let me just show you. Jelly Roll's speech, and it went viral because, you know, he thanked Christ, and not a lot of celebrities do that. But here, let me play this for you. This is Jelly Roll's speech at the Grammys.
I know they're going to try to kick me off here, so just let me try to get this out. First of all, Jesus, I hear you and I'm listening, Lord. I am listening, Lord. Second of all, I want to thank my beautiful wife. I would have never changed my life without you. I'd have ended up dead or in jail. I'd have killed myself if it wasn't for you and Jesus. I thank you for that. I thank you for my label, Broken Bow, Country Radio, baby. What's up, y'all? Oh, Republic, John Manili, we did it, baby. There was a time in my life, y'all, that I was broken. That's why I wrote this album. I didn't think I had a chance, y'all. There was days that I thought the darkest things. I was a horrible human. There was a moment in my life that all I had was a Bible this big and a radio the same size and a 6x8 foot cell. And I believed that those two things could change my life. I believed that music had the power to change my life and God had the power to change my life. And I want to tell y'all right now, Jesus is for everybody. Jesus is not owned by one political party. Jesus is not owned by no music label. Jesus is Jesus, and anybody can have a relationship with him. I love you, Lord.
Now, a Bible, Reba loves it, by the way. Reba McEntire's like, amen. Hallelujah. A Bible and a radio. And it's sitting in his prison cell. That's all he had. And he said that's all he needed. And now he's winning Grammys. And losing weight, by the way. He's less roll now. He's still got a little jelly, but he's way less roll than he used to be, and he's got a Grammy. So he's turning his life totally around ever since being in prison, and that is a speech that is worthwhile. That was a message I think that was amazing. That's something that probably the Grammys, you know, they're not going to promote that. They probably don't like that. He's not going to get another Grammy. If you get up on stage and you start talking about Jesus being Lord and no political parties can own Jesus and Jesus loves everybody, Democrats, Republicans, whatever. If you spew that kind of garbage, they're not going to let you back on the Grammy stage. They don't want all that Jesus talk. They want Trump is bad. Trump was on Epstein Island. They want Nicki Minaj has a big booty. They want all that kind of stuff. They don't want Jelly Roll talking about how Jesus is for everyone, how I was sitting in a cell and I prayed to God and now music delivered. That's not at all what they want. But anyway, congratulations to Jelly. You know what would be great? I would love for Jelly Roll. To be performing at the Super Bowl, but unfortunately it's Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is going to be at the Super Bowl. Now, Bad Bunny is, I guess he hates English because Bad Bunny, he got up there. He won Best Album or Album of the Year or whatever it was. Hold on, where is it? Bad Bunny Album of the Year. Here it is right here. Let me just play this for you. He's like sleeping or something. I don't know. And then he finally gets up. Wait, where's the speech? Because he gave a speech, but he gave his speech. I thought he did. Oh, here it is. Here he is talking about ice. Listen.
I'm going to say ice out.
By the way, I think that's the only English he knows. I think all he knows is ice out. I think that's all he's got. And then after he says ice out, it's like, okay, whatever.
We're not savage, we're not animals, we're not aliens, we are humans, and we are Americans.
Okay. Now, no one's saying you're savages, no one's saying you're animals, but, you know, you are aliens. I mean, if you're not from this country, you're an alien. When I came to this country, I was an alien. I was a legal alien, but still an alien because you are alien. I mean, it's just a word. It's not anything negative. But you're also, unless you're an American, you're not an American. I mean, that's the thing. This is the thing now where they're blurring the lines. This is what they do all the time. The Democrats, the liberals, the people on the left, for centuries, people have been coming to the United States of America, and they've been doing so legally, and they've been applying for whatever they could, and they've been trying to get their citizenship, and they've been trying to become part of this country. And it's a long and daunting process. When people break the law and they come here illegally, it's not only a slap in the face to every American, but it's a slap in the face to every immigrant who does not try to game the system, myself included. But now when Bad Benny gets up there and says, we're all Americans, no, you're not. You're not all Americans. You're not all Americans. Some of you are aliens. You're not all legal. I know because I was right there with you, buddy. And it's that narrative that it's like when they say it's not abortion, it's women's health. Okay. It's not women's health, it's abortion, but women's health is something that you can actually sell to an angry mob. Women's health is something that needs to be protected. Abortion, it's tough to protect abortion, but women's health, yeah, who's against women's health? Same thing with illegal aliens. They called them undocumented workers because now they're not criminals. They're not illegal aliens. They're just undocumented workers. These are people, they're working. They just don't have the documents that are required, by law to work. But it makes it sound like, why would you be against undocumented workers? What's wrong with somebody who's working just because they don't have a piece of paper? They're working. They're totally fine. Let 25 million of them in. No problem. And yes, some gang members are going to slip through the cracks too, but whatever.
Also, I want to say to the people, I know it's tough to not to hate on these days. And I was thinking, sometime we get contaminados. I don't know how to say that in English. The hate get more powerful with more hate. The only thing that is more powerful than hate is love. So, please, we need to be different. If we fight, we have to do it with love. We don't hate them. We love our people, we love our family, and that's the way to do it, with love. Don't forget that, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess he's talking to the lunatics in Minneapolis, Minnesota, who are running their cars into ICE officers. I guess he's talking to the lunatics in Minnesota who are bringing these guns to protests and who are kicking the cars and spitting on these folks. Is that who he's talking? I mean, I don't know who he's like. I don't know who he's talking to. If he's saying we need to fight with love, well, that's not what Alex Preddy was doing. That's not what Renee Good was doing. They were fighting with large automobiles and guns and stuff. That's not. I mean, it is. Look, if you want to fight with love, that's great. Don't attack ICE. Don't spit on ICE because they're just out there doing their job. They also love. They love the United States of America. They love the law. They love law and order. They love the president. They love the people that they're serving. In fact, Kristi Noem was on one of these, I think it was Fox and Friends, whatever. And she was talking about how great these people are and how devoted they are to this country.
The people at the Department of Homeland Security and law enforcement are so excited they get to do their jobs. They're so proud to work for a president that is strong, that is decisive, and that wants to make America safe and enforce our laws again. So they're doing great. In fact, Rachel, just at ICE, we had over 220,000 applications for 10,000 openings. At USCIS, we've had tens of thousands of applications. Secret Service applications have more than doubled. We've got people in every department that are asking to come and work for the Department of Homeland Security because they recognize that we want to defend the homeland, that a country with no borders is no country at all, that people who live here and our citizens deserve safety on their streets, and that we deliver a response of protection of our critical infrastructure and relief to states when they face disasters through FEMA as well. It's a vast department with a lot of responsibilities, 23 different agencies, all tasked with keeping people safe. And that's exactly what President Trump is doing.
Yeah, there you go. So Donald Trump and all these people are like, look, we just want to keep people safe. We just, we love this country. We love the laws and we want people to abide by them. And then all of a sudden you have all these people who aren't abiding by them and they become the victims. And now they're the ones who apparently need protecting. It's really interesting and fascinating. And thank God, I don't think that a lot of people care about the Grammys anymore. Of all it's really interesting. The Grammys and the Academy Awards and all of these other things, they've been for years just whittling away at their own audience. They've been destroying their own audience. For example, music, popular music used to be something that people that the majority of people could listen to and enjoy. And popular music now, I mean, when you watch some of the musicians that are on these Grammy Awards, you don't really know most of them. Most of them don't reflect or represent the majority of values in the United States of America. Same with the films. The films that are winning Best Picture and Best Oscar, the ones that are nominated. I mean, last year, this porno won the Academy Award for Best Picture. And it was basically, I mean, it was basically, I mean, a sex film. It was just sex. There was full frontal this and bang, bang that and all kinds of this and that and the other and lots of nudity and all. I mean, so I hear. And then then the other one, then there was like, everyone's like the Catholic drama should have won, but apparently there was like a transgender in that one too. So it's all them eroding their own audience. And so what do they have left? All they can do is they can just pat each other on the back and give each other these awards. And that's exactly what it's not the best of, or these aren't the highest ranked anything awards. These are awards that they vote on for each other. I mean, when you think about it, the better awards are the, Blockbuster Award or the People's Choice Award, or, hey, this thing made the most money. Because let's face it, that's how people really vote. People vote with their wallets. So if you write a book and that book becomes a bestseller, guess what? That's better than a Pulitzer. Why? Because the people have spoken. They've voted with their wallets. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's whatever. Harry Potter and the Garden of Chambers. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Goblets or whatever it is, and the deathly sorcerers, the Hallows of All Hallows Eve. There's like 9 of them. All those Harry Potter books, they're infinitely better than any of the Pulitzer Prize winning novels. They're better than, I couldn't even name a Pulitzer Prize, To Kill a Mockingbird. Why? Because more people read them. And isn't that the whole point? Isn't the whole point of writing a book to have people read it? That's why look, I mean, I love this show. I think this show's amazing. Do I want more people to listen to it? Absolutely. Do I want more downloads? Absolutely. Why? Because I think more people need to hear this message. And we've got a really great show. Could it be better? Absolutely. Is it the best? Well, not by that metric. There's a lot of other shows that a lot of other people are listening to. They may not be the best. Sure, we may win some kind of award. Just kidding. We're not winning any kind of award. But to me, it's all about spreading the message to as many people as possible. And if we've got thousands and thousands of people listening every single day or watching every single day, then guess what? That is the true sign of success. But the movie industry, they know that people aren't going to go watch these woke films. They know that these films are going to die a slow death. They know that people are actually going out to watch things that they like, not things that are being rammed down our throat with some kind of political message. So they create these award ceremonies and they try to make you think that they're popular by saying this is the best picture. This is the best actress or actor. But they're really just the best picture and the best actor and actress based on all of the other actors and actresses voting on them. Same thing's true with the music industry, because I guarantee there's probably, what was that Rich Men North of Richmond? That didn't get nominated for a Grammy, did it? But I imagine more people downloaded that song than a lot of these others, or listened to it online or whatever. Anyway, I digress. The important part of this is that the Grammys are trash and Trevor Noah is getting sued and Donald Trump's going to make hopefully millions more dollars, which should be kind of exciting. By the way, speaking of growing the audience, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you have not yet subscribed, whether you're watching on YouTube or Rumble or Facebook, wherever you happen to be, if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcast, I don't know how you got here. That's the thing. Sometimes maybe we just showed up in your feed. Maybe somebody told you about it. Maybe you just went on. Maybe you were browsing around. And you're like, I need some new podcasts to listen to. And bam, we just popped up. I appreciate that. First of all, make sure you subscribe so that you don't have to go looking for us anymore. We'll just come looking for you. That sounded weird. Also, speaking of which, I wanted to kind of get into this story a little bit because it broke just before I went on about Savannah Guthrie. And it's really bizarre. Let me see if I can find the most updated. Savannah Guthrie is from, so she's from the Today Show, and there's some story going on with her mom disappearing and the police saying it seems like she was taken. And like I said, it's been like 30 minutes. We've been talking about the other stuff. I haven't even got an update. So this was right after I started the show. So hopefully this is page 6. Hopefully they've got the most update up to date, but this is crazy. Savannah Guthrie's family. Meet Today Show anchor's mom, Nancy, husband, and more. Today Show anchor. Wait a minute. Is this the right one? Published. Oh, no, this is not. Yeah, this is it. February 2nd. Okay, here we go. Today's show anchor Savannah Guthrie has a tight-knit family off air. The journalist is the youngest of Nancy Guthrie and Charles Guthrie's 3 children and has 2 kids of her own with her husband, Michael Feldman. In February 2026, the daytime Emmy winner's mother became the subject of a missing persons investigation. Savannah released a statement reading, "On behalf of our family, I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear mom. Nancy and the rest of Savannah's loved ones have joined the NBC personality on the Today Show over the years." Where's the actual story? Hang on, let me go back here. Here, we'll go to this one. Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, missing in Arizona. Sheriff calls her home a crime scene. The disappearance of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy, is being treated as a crime, police in Arizona said Monday, as they urged neighbors to review home video camera footage. "We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us," Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos told reporters Monday. "We believe now, after we've processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime, and we're asking the community's help." Nanos urged people who think they see Nancy Guthrie to take a picture or record a video and alert authorities. "Nancy Guthrie is very limited in her mobility, and we know she didn't just walk out of there," Nanos said, adding that there are other aspects of the scene which indicate she did not leave on her own. "She doesn't have any cognitive issues, but is in urgent need of her daily medications," authorities said. Nanos didn't provide additional details. The FBI is assisting in the investigation. The search and rescue team worked through the night employing drones, helicopters, and heat sensors, but have since been sent home, Nanos said, as the search has turned to a criminal investigation. "Right now, we don't see this as a search mission so much as we do a crime scene." Investigators were poring over footage from security cameras in the home, Nanos said. Authorities were also turning to license plate readers and other surveillance cameras for leads in the case. Savannah Guthrie issued the statement, "On behalf of our family, I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus returns on getting our dear mom back." So this woman, this is crazy. 84 years old, 5'5". I'm sorry, 5 feet, 5'05", 5'5", 150 pounds. Last seen the evening of January 31st, that was Saturday night, at her residence near East Skyline Drive in North Campbell Avenue. Unknown what clothing she may be wearing. So somebody saw her on Saturday night or Saturday evening, and now she's gone, and her home is listed as a crime scene in Pima County, Arizona. And the weirdest, 84 years old. It's really bizarre. Because when you think about these kinds of things, you think, okay, what happens when somebody gets taken from their home and it's a crime scene? What happens when somebody gets taken and you're like, I don't know what's what's happening here. There seems to be some kind of violence or whatever. But what I'm thinking here is, typically, and I watch a lot of Dateline, not alone, because you're not supposed to watch alone. It's usually the number one thing is it's some kind of lover's quarrel or tryst, right? Or like the husband trying to get rid of the wife for the insurance money or something like, I don't know. There's all those kinds of things going on. It's usually something like that. Or on the flip side, it's somebody, I guess, that wants to take you because you've wronged them in some way. Or it's a home invasion gone wrong and maybe they accidentally, I don't want to say the word, but something bad happens and they try to take the body because they don't want to leave it behind. Or, I guess it could be like a ransom. Savannah Guthrie is pretty well off. I imagine she has a lot of money, but it's just, the whole thing's weird to me. It's very bizarre. It's very bizarre that an 84-year-old woman would be taken unless she was targeted. And of course, being the famous mom of a very famous television personality. But that is the latest going on with Savannah Guthrie. I just wanted to mention that because, and first of all, it's a horrible story. You don't want anybody ever to you have to go through something like that where their beloved family member, mom or whoever, is a victim of a crime. But it really is just it's such a bizarre story. And man, that show, a lot of bad stuff going on in that show, isn't it? You had the whole Matt Lauer thing, and now you have the Savannah Guthrie's mom thing. And oh, speaking of moms and crime, Here's one of the most bizarre revelations out of the latest drop of the Epstein files. They dropped more Epstein files over the weekend. Get this. Get this. Hang on one second. I take a swig. My throat's a little dry. I'm going to take a swig of my coffee. Hang on. I got to get amped up again. Here we go. That's good. A little cold, but good. The Epstein files. They dropped 3.5 million Epstein files over the weekend. 3.5 million. That's 3.5 million documents, pages, photographs, videos. 3.5 million documents dumped because legally they have to. And they tried to redact as much as possible. Apparently they missed a couple of names and some of the victims are like outed. And now the victims are like, what are you doing? You totally didn't redact my names. And the DOJ is like, legally, we only had 30 days to go through 3.5 million documents, so we may have missed some stuff. But that's not even all, because not only did they drop 3.5 million documents, but they said that's only half of what we've got left, meaning there's an additional 3.5 million documents out there. There's an additional 3.5 million documents that they haven't even redacted, that they haven't gone through. None of that has happened yet. And so now I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, they dumped 3.5 million and there's another 3.5 million? No wonder they couldn't get these things out in 30 days. How do you redact? If you have every member of the United States government working on these things, how do you redact 3.5 million documents in that amount of time? But one of the weirdest things, there's a lot of weird things. One of the weirdest things to come out of this latest dump has to do with Zohran Mamdani's mommy. Zohran Mamdani's mommy, Mrs. I thought it was Mamdani. It's not. Her name is Nair, Mira Nair, I think is her name. And get this, she was an actress, and I guess still is. I don't know. She's alive. I know that, but I don't know what her status, her current career status is. She was an actress and a filmmaker and a producer, and she was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. As we can tell, because there's documents, emails, and there's an email asking about an invitation to the island, or that she went to a party at the island or something. There's photos of her and baby Zohran Mamdani in front of Jeffrey Epstein. Photos of her and baby Mamdani. You got Zohran Mamdani's mommy, and then her sugar daddy, Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if he was her sugar daddy, but I'm just assuming he was everybody's sugar daddy. But there's another photo. Look at this. Here's another one. Here's Zohran Mamdani's mommy, Bill Clinton, and Jeffrey Epstein. And I just got to tell you, if Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein are in a photo with a woman, odds are, odds are at least one, if not both of them, are pretty knowledgeable about that woman. Is all I'm thinking. And that's why some people actually are saying, what if Zohran Mamdani is Jeffrey Epstein's son? What if Zohran Mamdani, what if Zohran Mamdani's daddy is Jeffrey Epstein? In fact, take a look at these photos that people are posting. They found a photo of Zohran Mamdani and they found a photo of Jeffrey Epstein, and they both have this very similar kind of smug look on their face. They both have this weird smiling kind of poutish look on their same mouth, same facial features, same kind of sunken beady eyes, big foreheads. And now there's speculation online, or at least I'll just say more than one person that I've heard has suggested that maybe, just maybe, there's a biological relationship between Zohran Mamdani and Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, that would explain his meteoric rise from absolute nobody to the mayor of New York, a job that he's grossly unqualified. Oh, speaking of being grossly unqualified, let me show you this. This is New York City under Zohran Mamdani. There's a huge snowstorm, and the new mayor apparently has no idea what to do because he's just let the trash. Hang on, let me get rid of the music. The trash is just piled up. I mean, this is crazy. Look at this. This is 6 days after the snowstorm in New York City, and for whatever reason, the new mayor can't seem to get things straight. It's a wall. It's a mountain of trash. It's at least 8 bags high, 4 bags deep, and it goes about half a city block. There looks like there's used condoms on the ground. I don't know what that's all about. And just bags and bags of trash, heaping piles of trash all the way down the city block. And that's just one city block. There's more of them. There's more. Here's another Let me go back. There's some I know that are, okay, well, this is, I don't know that I can play this because this is, what's his name? Michael Rappaport. I think it may be bleeped.
Snowstorm.
Hang on.
Look at this dirty. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. This poor bastard ain't getting out until the spring.
He's showing the cars snowed in.
A week after the snowstorm. Look at this dirty hole. Look at this. I don't know what this guy's gonna do.
These cars are just, the
This
snow
guy
has been piled up against the cars. And they can't get out at all.
Dirt. Where's the mayor? Clean this up. Garbage everywhere.
Garbage everywhere,
Dirty
trash.
snow.
Yeah.
What do you do with this? Where's your shovel now, Mindami? Look at this. You know how many people break their ankles? Look at this. This is New York. Start spreading the news. And this is on the Upper East Side. 3 minutes from where the mayor lives. Look at this guy. Look at this.
And what he's talking about is, so these cars, they park along the street. And I guess what happened was the snowplows came along and plowed up against the cars so nobody can get in and out of their vehicles. Their cars are just stuck there. And on the other side of it are just bags of trash. So even if you could get into your car, you couldn't really go anywhere because there's just a wall of trash that you can't drive through.
This guy's never getting. Look at this. Look at this. It's the reality of New York City. 1 month. Where's the salt? Where's the shovels? Where's the plows? Bullshit.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to say they missed a bleep on that. But that's what's going on in New York City. New York City is a trash pile. It's a trash heap. Everyone's talking about how disgusting it is, and they're blaming Zoran Mamdani because apparently communism doesn't work, which we've told you that 1,000 times. Communism doesn't work. And this guy's been mayor for what, a day and a half? And all of a sudden, the city is covered in trash, bags and bags of trash, snow plows, just locking people in. It is the ultimate failure of New York City. It is communism at its finest. That is exactly what people in New York City voted for, and that's exactly what they got. There was a guy, in fact, get this, people went to Mamdani's house, went to the Gracie Mansion, is that what it is? And they just started screaming and yelling at him. Here we go. Listen to this. This is, when was this election? A month? 2 months ago? It was November. It's now February. Listen to this.
That's right. We know about your mom. Now listen. We was with you, Zoran. We voted for you, Zoran. We advocated for you, Zoran. We advocated for you. You ain't getting up. Get up in there and lie to us. You lied, Zoran. Shame, Zoran.
Shame. Shame!
Your first line was CCRB, Zoran.
Shame!
CCRB had the final say, Zoran.
Shame!
Yeah. So they voted for this mayor because AOC and Bernie Sanders said he's going to be the future and free buses for all and rent control, whatever, all that great stuff. They voted for this guy because they thought that was going to be amazing for them. And then what happened? This guy turned around and now they're living in a trash heap. They're literally living in a trash heap. They're living in a dump. There's nothing that they can do. They have no access to their vehicles. The trash is piling up. It's disgusting. And oh yeah, Zoran Mamdani's mommy is in the Epstein files. So guess who's not talking about the Epstein files anymore? Do you remember when Zoran Mamdani would accuse Donald Trump of being in the Epstein files and he was talking about we demand the release of the Epstein files? I haven't heard him say that. Haven't heard him say that today. It used to be his one big thing. He used to be like, oh, we need to get the truth about President Donald Trump. We need to know the truth about the Epstein files. Well, now that we know his mom and Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein were all buddy-buddy, maybe now the Epstein files aren't as important to him, just like trash collection and of course plowing the city streets. That's the way it is, folks. That's the way it is everywhere. Everywhere you go, everywhere you install communism, it fails. Everywhere you install socialism, it fails. Anywhere you put somebody in place who is there as a DEI candidate, as somebody who is there just because of their race or their religion or the color of their skin or anything like that, you're going to have an epic failure. Failure of epic proportions. Anytime you put somebody in a position of power that has no authority or business being there. Simply because anytime you have these identity political candidates who win, everybody else loses. Donald Trump is not an identity political candidate. Donald Trump is not playing identity politics. Donald Trump is like, I'm old, I'm white, I'm rich, and I know how to get things done. And everyone's like, fine, go do it. And he's doing it. Zoran Mamdani said the opposite. He said, I'm young and I'm Muslim and I've never actually had a real job in my life. And he got elected. And now what's happening? You're starting to see that identity politics is trash. And in New York City, it's literally trash. This is what the rest of the country is starting to realize. It's the same thing you're starting to see in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're sure. Look, Jacob Fry is not a DEI candidate. He's about as white as they come, but he got elected by the Somali population, and he's indebted to the Somali population, and so he's going to do whatever they do. They have a white face on a DEI community, and we see what's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's got to be the best qualified person for the job, or else it's going to turn into an utter failure, especially if it's communism. It just does not work. Capitalism reigns supreme. And this is why we need to make sure that we're protecting our elections. There's a couple things. First of all, I want to play this. Gunther Eagleman just posted this. This is from about 4 hours ago. Anna Paulina Luna, who, fun fact, I did a fundraiser yesterday for a political campaign. I didn't have a chance to pull the video yet, but it was an amazing time. We had an amazing fundraiser yesterday. We were out at in Nocatee at a Del Webb community, and we had like probably, I don't know, 80 to 100 people there. And I came out and I spoke, and I told them all about John Rutherford and how we need to primary the guy. And we raised some money and we sold some hats, and everybody was having a great time. And one person asked me, they said, hey, who do you see yourself working with? Who are you the most like in Congress today? And I, of course, said Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett, who, by the way, before we get to this Anna Paulina Luna thing, I posted a Tim Burchett clip, and it went gangbusters on my X. Here's Tim Burchett talking about the importance of change in Washington, D.C. and why things never do change.
People ask me, why doesn't it change? Why doesn't it change? Well, part of the reason it doesn't change is because 12% or less of the population goes to the polls and vote. 40% of the evangelical Christians who are always, and I am one, are always angry about what's going on and maybe getting a little too self-righteous or what have you. They don't go to the polls, 40% of them. And then you wonder, why doesn't it change? You've got people that are in power, they get elected, and they start out, they're very idealistic, and they're going to change the world. They're going to get down there and they're going to mix it up. And then, I always joke around about them. When they get to Congress, they got their entourage, or a little group of people that follow them around and get a little taste of it. And, they think they're going to be called on by the president to negotiate a trade deal with North Korea or something, and that ain't going to happen. And then it seems like to get higher up in the committees, you got to do two things. You got to kiss butt, and you got to raise a lot of money for the conference. But that's part of the problem. These guys and gals, they got to sell their soul to get there, and they think, when I get there, I'm going to change it. And when they get there, they love the good life. They love the people around them, tell them how great they are. It's a classic group thing. They love going to the front of the line and sitting at the good seats at the ball games, at the concerts, and the big boys recognizing them, and, getting recognized at the congregations and what have you. And that just feeds that ego, and then nothing changes. And we got to start holding folks accountable, and maybe term limits is one of the answers, but asking Congress to police itself is kind of like asking a death row inmate, about ethics. You're probably not going to get it.
That's exactly right. And I posted this, by the way, along with a photo of John Rutherford, who I think is what he's talking about, and really pointed out that this is why we never have change. We never have change because, like he said, 12% of voters vote in the primary election instead of 100% or 50%. It's a ridiculously small amount of voters. That's why the same people keep getting elected, because the primaries is where things change. Now, luckily, this thing, like I said, a lot of people took heart to this and took heed to it, and it's gotten 157,000 separate views. So hopefully people are waking up, and hopefully we're going to start to see some change. But another reason is because elections are just not as free and fair and safe as we need them to be. And so anyway, I was talking to these people yesterday in Nocatee, and I said, I love Tim Burchett. I can see myself working with him and emulating him, and Anna Paulina Luna is doing a great job. And I got a huge round of applause because people love Anna Paulina Luna. They love what she's doing. They love her tenacity, and they love that she's actually trying to fight for positive change. And apparently she's doing it again today.
Things could get pretty messy here on the Hill today, as House Republicans may have to advance this package of government spending bills without any help from Democrats whatsoever. Now, the first thing that House Republicans have to do is pass a complicated procedural vote known as a rule. That has to pass in order to get an actual vote on these funding bills on the House floor. Now, that procedural vote is going to be a whole lot easier said than done. Not only will Democrats not vote for it, but Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna is threatening to hold the whole process up if the voter ID bill known as the SAVE Act isn't attached to the spending bills. Still, though, Speaker Johnson is confident it'll all get worked out. Things could get pretty messy here on.
Yeah, so the SAVE Act, or the Save America Act as it's called now, the Save America Act is something that they've all said we need to attach to everything. We need to attach it to every bill. We need to make sure that that the Senate is forced to vote on this. And they're working to do just that. And Anna Paulina Luna has said she's got a coalition of Republicans. She's got people that are going to stand up and they're going to fight for the SAVE Act, and they're not going to do anything without the SAVE Act being attached. And so that is something that is key to moving and advancing this legislature. But we need the Save America Act because we need voter ID laws, and we need to make sure that the people that are voting are also are also American citizens, because that's what the Constitution says. You can vote if you're a citizen, but not if you are not. Donald Trump, by the way, back to Epstein for a second. He just posted something. This was half an hour ago. This was while we were live. Donald Trump posted on Truth Social an update about Jeffrey Epstein, and he wrote, "Not only wasn't I friendly with Jeffrey Epstein, but based upon information that has just been released by the Department of Justice, Epstein and a sleazebag lying author named Michael Wolff conspired in order to damage me and or my presidency. So much for the radical left's hope against hope, some of whom I'll be suing. Additionally, unlike so many people that like to talk trash, I never went to the infested Epstein Island, but almost all of these crooked Democrats and their donors did." And I think that is the big thing that I've been mentioning, ever since day one. People have been saying, why isn't Donald Trump just releasing the Epstein files? Why did he turn on the Epstein files? Blah, blah, blah. And I think what you're starting to see is that Donald Trump knew, yes, there were Democrats that would be in deep doo-doo. Yes, there may be some Republicans that would be in deep doo-doo, but it's mostly the donors. It's the donors who, because look, that's who Epstein wanted to hang out with. He wanted to hang out with the rich elites, right? He was supposedly a financier. He supposedly invested people's money. He just took it basically and spent it on islands and young girls and prostitutes and whatnot. But that was the whole plan. He wanted money. He wanted the big donors. He wanted the billionaires. He wanted the rich people. And that's who he hung out with. And Donald Trump, I think, knew that a lot of billionaires and donors would be exposed. And he didn't want to expose that because many of them had probably donated to his campaign or the campaigns of many others, and especially some Democrats, because that's what rich people do. They hedge their bets. They bet on both parties to win. And that way they're covered, whichever party, should happen to win. And so now that these documents are coming out, Donald Trump is saying, look, here's what's happening. I'm being totally absolved, even though you people are lying about me, and a lot of big names are going down. Probably not the right word terminal. I probably shouldn't have said going. You get the gist. And so that is Donald Trump's latest. That is Donald Trump's latest post on Truth Social. Now, Michael Wolff, we've heard of before. He hates Michael Wolff, and Michael Wolff has repeatedly written lies about President Donald Trump. And now we see in some of these documents back and forth emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Wolff that explicitly state they were conspiring to try to undo Donald Trump's presidency by pushing lies and mistruths and fake news. And of course, it's not hard to push fake news when it's about Donald Trump, because everybody else was just looking for lies and mistruths and propaganda to push against President Donald Trump as well. But Donald Trump has the greatest weapon Donald Trump has is a direct link to the American public, and also the ability to speak extemporaneously to anyone, anywhere, at any time, as he did on Air Force One when he started to talk again about, you know, the rioters in Minneapolis and Don Lemon.
No, I don't know anything about the Don Lemon thing, but he's a sleazebag. Everyone's known that. He's a washout. Probably from his standpoint, the best thing that could happen to him. He's getting, he had no viewers. He was a failure. He was a failed host, and now he's in the news. I didn't know anything about it.
It's a sad but true statement on society that Don Lemon, by breaking the law and getting arrested for violations of the FACE Act and for criminal trespass, is now going to probably be more popular than ever before. Don Lemon, who has a podcast that I didn't even know anybody listened to, is probably now, in fact, I haven't even checked the charts, but the bad news is, yeah, this kind of publicity, there's no such thing as bad publicity, they say. So Don Lemon is he's probably going to see his star rise. He's going to see his price go up. Don Lemon is going to see more opportunities. He's going to get more, he's going to get more speaking gigs. He's going to get book deals. He's going to get all this other kind of stuff. Let's see where the Don Lemon show is ranking today. The stars are lower than ever before, but I'm trying to see the ranks. It doesn't have the rank for the Don Lemon show, but it's gonna. No matter where it is right now, it's going to increase. Don Lemon will see a positive boost from this. Don Lemon will become more famous. Don Lemon will become richer. Oh yeah, here it is. He's 66. I guarantee. I haven't checked these podcast charts in a long time, but the news podcast charts. There's no way Don Lemon was ever 66th before he broke into that church and got arrested. He's beating Jen Psaki, Bill O'Reilly. He's beating Victor David Hanson and Dave Rubin and Alex Jones, Ted Cruz. No way. There's no way that Don Lemon was that popular. There's no way Don Lemon was beating George Slopadopoulos or Steven Crowder before this whole thing went down. So Donald Trump's 100% right. He's going to get more popular. He's going to get more famous. He's going to get more wealthy. And all he had to do was break the law, become a criminal. It's kind of sad that we reward criminal behavior that way in this country, but we do. Todd Blanche was on with George Slopadopoulos speaking about Don Lemon, by the way. And George Slopadopoulos said, when did he become a criminal? At what point was he a criminal in your eyes, not a journalist?
So when do you believe that Mr. Lemon crossed the line from reporting on what was going on to criminal activity?
Conveniently missing from what you just showed, George, is the appellate court and a judge on the appellate court who said just a few days later there was clearly probable cause and it wasn't even a close question. So, and by the way, a grand jury, which is what our system has set up to determine whether probable cause exists, concluded that there was probable cause. That indictment is now public. Everybody in this country can pull it up and read for themselves and see what the grand jury found that Mr. Lemon did. I am not going to comment on the charges specifically because it's not appropriate, but it's interesting that we talk about the First Amendment right. You have a right of freedom of religion, which is just as important as any other right that we have. And George, I don't know if you've watched the videos or read the indictment about what it's alleged that Mr. Lemon did, but if anybody in this country thinks that is, quote, independent journalism, I would like to have a conversation with you. Now, he's obviously has a very good lawyer. He can raise defenses in court to the extent he wants to, but nobody in this country should feel comfortable storming into a church while it's ongoing and disrupting that church service and thinking that we're just going to stand by and let that happen, because there is a statute that does not allow that to happen. It doesn't matter if you happen to be a former CNN journalist. It doesn't matter if you're a rioter. It doesn't matter if you think you're peacefully protesting. You are not allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I was on Newsmax early this morning, and I basically said something similar. I said, look, here's it. Oh, there was this guy on Newsmax who he cut me off. It was actually kind of funny. I was watching him. Hold on, let me play this today. This guy, he's from Oklahoma. He's running for lieutenant governor or something. And I was talking, and all of a sudden he just jumped right on top of me. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I went like this. I went, huh? Because I couldn't see him. I could only hear him, right? And I'm talking, and then all of a sudden this big bellowing voice just comes, blah, 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 and I go, wait, what happened? But here it is. Here it is.
it goes even.
Here it is. Here it is about Don Lemon. Here we go.
Time there's a big riot or a situation that
Wait, hold on. No, it's right here. Let me play you this clip. This is where we talk about Don Lemon. Here we go.
In there, you know, but of course, you know, they're walking around with their ice out pins on. What do you make of this?
The Democrats love the second part of the First Amendment. They hate the part about religious freedom. They always jump right to freedom of the press. And there are multiple freedoms listed in the First Amendment, and you can't actually claim that you're exercising one freedom while squashing someone else's. And that's exactly what Don Lemon did. Don Lemon wasn't reporting on a crime. He was part of the creation of that crime. That'd be like me lighting my house on fire and then reporting live from the scene of an arson. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You can't create a story and then claim that you're a journalist while you're covering it. Everybody knows, you guys know this, news crews set up outside on public property. They talk to people while they're going in and out of buildings. They don't barge into the building themselves and start shoving people around, especially when they're exercising their First Amendment rights.
Yeah, and the reason the left is going crazy is because they recognize Don Lemon is the poster boy for liberal.
You can see my head because, again, I mean, pulling back the curtain, I'm sitting here looking at a camera and I have my little, IFBs in, and I can hear what's going on, but I can't see what's going on because I have to look at the camera, not at the screen. And so I'm just talking. And then this guy jumps in and goes, rah, rah, and I'm like, and I go like this because, I wasn't expecting it. And then when I watched it back on camera, I saw that, oh yeah, I was on camera and they saw my, that's okay though, because it's real television. It's real TV. Newsmax is real TV. It's live. We don't sugarcoat things. We don't edit things out. It's just the truth. Oh, and you know what? That's why Zoran Mamdani is trying to ban Newsmax. Get this, Newsmax. They want to ban Newsmax in taxi cabs. Look at this. This is from Newsmax. Backlash in New York City over calls to ban Newsmax in taxis. New York taxi passengers are speaking out against a push by Manhattan Borough President Brad Holman to remove Newsmax programming. From the taxi cabs across the city, calling the effort unnecessary censorship and saying the content they have seen appears neutral and informative. I think it's useful that you can watch while you're having your trip, one writer told Newsmax correspondent Sarah Williamson on Saturday. Everything seemed pretty above board to me, he added. There was no bias that I could see. Newsmax recently partnered with Curb to provide news updates on taxi televisions in about 15,000 cabs nationwide, including roughly 9,000 vehicles in New York City. Holman has urged Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani and the Taxi and Limousine Commission to end the contract, writing that Newsmax is politically charged content and not a credible news source. Another passenger said removing the network would go too far. I think that we should not censor any type of news and it should all be out there for the public to see, no matter what it is, the writer said. So if you're in New York City and you were ever watching Newsmax and you saw me, you may not see me anymore if the communists in New York City, if they're able to get their way. So anyway, we will find out what's going on with that, and we will continue. Hopefully, if you're riding around in a New York City taxi cab, oh look, there's Sarah Williamson. She's riding around in a New York City taxi cab looking for. Oh, by the way, and I usually, you know what I do? I usually just take Ubers when I'm in New York City. I don't even really take the cabs anymore because Ubers. Or you know what I usually just do is I walk. I mean, if I'm in New York City or if I'm in Washington, D.C., my go-to is to walk. Actually, that's not true. In New York City, my go-to is to walk. In Washington, D.C., my go-to is the Lime scooter because the Lime scooter is so much fun and it's so easy to get around and it's so picturesque. That's the other thing. If you're riding around a Lime scooter in D.C., you've got monuments to see and marble buildings and statues, and it's really, really incredible. And so I always recommend the Lime scooter in Washington, D.C. In New York City, I just usually walk or take the subway. But, I don't foresee myself going to either of those places anytime soon. Well, D.C., when I start working there after we primary John Rutherford. I'm going to get to that video. I'll edit up the video because we had a really good speech yesterday. It was a really fantastic speech and we raised a lot of money. And that's really important because when you're running for Congress, there's two things you need: money and votes. And the votes we can't get till August. You can't vote until August for Marquet for Congress. But that's okay because in August, if you're in the 5th District of Florida then we definitely want you to do just that. But in the meantime, you can help us get more votes by supporting Mark K for Congress with any donation. And in fact, I think we raised several $1,000s yesterday. I think we were pushing like $3,000 in about 40 minutes, which was amazing, from a small crowd of like 100 people. And that just goes to show how people are looking for a conservative voice. They're fed up with the establishment. They want change in Washington, D.C., and we're here to deliver it. And if you can help any amount is going to help. If you can give, like we had a lot of $100 donations yesterday. If you can give $100, that's going to help us. If you can't, that's fine. Give 25. That's going to help us. If you can't give 25, 10. Any amount of money is going to help. Any amount of money is going to move the needle and help us make that positive change in Washington, D.C. Now, if you can make the maximum amount allowed by the Federal Election Commission of $3,500, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be very grateful. I'm going to send you an autographed hat, and we're going to put you on the Mark K for Congress Finance Committee. That's how that works, apparently. That's what I learned. If you're on the Finance Committee, it's because you made a large donation. But anyway, markkforcongress.com is the website. It's in the show notes. You can go click on it. You can make a donation. Like I said, we're in an uphill battle, but it's a battle that we have to win, and it is totally winnable. I'm going to do my part on the ground. I'm going to be going out. I'm going to be talking on the internet. I'm going to be talking to people live. I'm going to be shaking hands. I'm going to be telling people, urging them to vote for change in the 5th District of Florida. I'm going to be trolling my opponent every opportunity that I can, but we're still going to need some money, and we're going to need the votes, because that's how you win. That's how you win an election. And this is an election that we need to win. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to this channel, subscribe to this network, subscribe to this podcast, no matter where you happen to be, because that's how we're going to continue to stick together. That's how we're going to continue to stay learning together, to be informed and entertained and inspired. That's how the Enlightenment, that's how Patriot Nation grows. From right here in Mar-a-Lago to wherever you happen to be all across the country and the globe, we're going to continue to grow our Patriot Network so that we can band together in a powerful force that will always be ready to fight, 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 so we can save